This is Mori Calliope. If you clicked on this video, most likely you're already at least familiar with who she is, or you're a devoted deadbeat like I am, and adore everything that she does. Having been part of HoloMyth Productions for over 4 years at this point, Callie has been one of the most dedicated members I've ever seen in the VTuber community, period. It's no secret with us deadbeats that she's the definition of a workaholic. She does more stuff than we expect her to do, but it's pretty clear that the girl simply wants to fulfill her dreams of being a rapper and eventually get her anime song, which she did. However, she is also someone with not the best reputation. If you've been in the fanbase long enough, Mori is really subjective to harsh criticism, and sure, everyone is going to face him one way or another. Even rap god Eminem himself has gone down this route before, but it's usually played to stereotypes that because of her race or the fact that she's tied to an anime style character as her identity somehow acts as a virus that kills any momentum someone skeptical would have going for their judgment on the artist's discography. In light of this, I feel as if she's not just a misunderstood artist, but also someone who knows who her audience is, and continues to keep up her career for those people, those being the deadbeats. And I think that is a true meaning of being an idol, to lift up those who see you as their silver lining. So I grabbed together all 3 albums, 4 EPs, and non-album singles, as well as features she has done for others, all in this tier list, dedicated to our beloved Grim Reaper dad over here. Let the ranking begin! If you're new here, my name is Yui Tachibana, a degenerate VTuber who wants to be your sunshine. I've been her deadbeat for over 2 years, and I came in just shortly before the UnAlive era, so I've been able to see at least more than half of her journeys thus far. Alright, so we're going to rank her EPs and her albums first. I'm going to go over them by release, so from beginning to end. Let's do this! First, we have Deadbeats, named after her fandom name, released to streaming services on October 20, 2020. The EP consists of her first 4 original songs ever, her introduction track, Excuse My Rudeness but Could You Please Rest in Peace, Deadbeats, and Live Again. Given that this is her debut EP, we shouldn't be putting our expectations too high. So it's your debut. You're about to help kickstart a new division in a company that's seeing a surge of popularity. What is your first impression? Well, how about put on this persona that reflects that of an innocent lady who just wants to fool around with her viewers, until BAM! Eminem wishes he could have wrote this. With her debut song Excuse My Rudeness, Kylie made one of the most unforgettable first impressions I've seen from a VTuber, and it still stands like that for me today. Her skills on the mic showed that our dad was passionate about what she wanted to accomplish, and it's only gone up from here. At the time of recording this video, the song sits at 41 million views, and it's not just Excuse My Rudeness that makes an impressive first impression, but Live Again and Deadbeat show her potential to be versatile, a side to her that would further be expanded upon in future projects. Her intro track is also quirky and funny to listen to, which I get it wouldn't be for everyone, then again so is the whole EP. It clearly has an audience it caters to, and I can understand if people would say this isn't her best. That being said, this is just her debut, and as it stands, I'm ranking this a very good B tier. Alright, next we have Your Mori, released on April 4th, 2021. Consisting of 4 songs, the Grim Reaper is a live streamer, Red, Ga, and Ichimeko Bully. On the physical releases, a 5th track is included, a cover of the Tenny Woha song Empress, which is a nice bonus just to get that out of the way. Now, Your Mori is often regarded as amongst Callie's best work. She shows her best of her abilities. It feels a lot more polished than her preceding EP, and not to mention it captures who Mori Calliope represents as a character, a Grim Reaper's apprentice who is not to be messed with, period. I truly believe the Grim Reaper is a live streamer is basically her theme song. It tells her a lot of what you need to know about her, that she's a Grim Reaper and a live streamer. After all, it's in the title of the song. It's quirky and entertaining, and not to mention it's just so catchy. Red is also a pretty swell jingle as well. Knowing that this song is over 3 years old now makes me feel old. Someone please give me a walker. Ichimeko Bully is a thoughtful and lyrical song that Callie herself has explained the meaning behind the song better than I could. After all, she is the artist behind it. To read an excerpt of what she said on a live stream on April 8th, 2021, the basic theme and motive is it is a self-hating song. The self-hatred is accompanied by confusion as to why someone still continues to love them. Think of life, for example, a kind of Beauty and the Beast situation. There's a terrible beast who doesn't understand why when they continue to hurt the person they care about, the person that they care about keeps coming back to them. This is coming from the perspective of the beast. Basically, don't let the fun jingle fool you. There's a lot of meaning in what she writes. I feel like that doesn't get brought up enough when it comes to Mori Calliope's skills at writing. There's tons of Vocaloid songs out there that while they have fun jingles to distract you, the lyrics within are deep and talking about existence and toxic relationships and stuff like that. Therefore, I can appreciate learning about the thoughts and genius that go into these songs. Your Mori is an S tier. She made a golden record with this one. And also, please give Ga a music video already. If Lose Lose Days could get one 2 years later, so can this one. Now we move on to UnAlive, her first full-length album. This one is actually a very divisive album for many, which is a given as this is very much an experimental album for her. Unlike her 2 EPs before this, UnAlive is her trying out different sounds and atmospheres, which I could totally respect. A lot worked for her audience and some proved to be questionable. First, the positives. Tracks like Dead on Arrival and Scuffed Up Age are fun jingles that I have returned to endlessly. And I for one think that electro swing does fit her quirky and geek style of rapping that was evident in her early works here. I know that genre isn't for everyone, but I personally think she makes it fun. Graveyard Shift featuring the now separated duo Boogie Vox is also a guilty pleasure to me. It has grown on me a lot. She also dives deeper with her more introspective tracks like Lose Lose Days, which recently got a music video after so long, coinciding with the semi-departure of fellow Myth member Amelia Watson, and it got me misty-eyed looking at the memories the girls have spent together. The lyrics were already hitting home for me to begin with, and it's stuff like that which can last longer because we can go back and think about it. Resting Power is another introspective track that has kept me around, as well as my girlfriend, who is also a HoloLyte fan. She cites Resting Power as the song that, long story short, kept her through mental hell and her parents divorcing. She would listen to the song often, and I'm grateful that I was able to get her on HoloLyve. That just proves to you how much impact Mori has had on us. Q featuring Gura needs no further explanation, as that was a charismatic banger from day one. The animation was so fluid in the music video, and I appreciated the dynamic the Bone Bros showed us on this track. Now that's the highs of the album. As we move on to the questionable portion, I do think the title track leaves some to be desired. Those high pitches she hits on the chorus, that's just not her best. The music video makes up for that though, but I really not had the desire to return to it much. By far the most divisive track on this album is Huge W, which basically reads like we have Skrillex at home. It has been a subject of mockery, and often her aunties use this song as a reason to turn off her music altogether, as if she wouldn't be able to come back from this. I think One Piece and DEC would disagree. I've heard a lot worse. Just listen to Soul Train by YBN Demir. You'll have a laugh right out of that one. But anyway, there is some missed potential in the track list if you ask me. There was 2 singles before this album, those being Off With Their Heads and End of a Life, which I will speak on when we get to the non-album singles. Those could have been tracks 10 and 11 on UnAlive. They would be perfect closers to an album, I think. However, the decision was made to add a Japanese version and an instrumental of the title track instead. And I get that Japanese releases tend to have instrumentals on just about everything they release, but in this case I feel like that's 2 slots wasted. But since there are still solid songs on here, I will give this a generous B tier. Now that concludes her early work, as after UnAlive was released, Mori Calliope got a call from Universal Music Group, signing her to their Japanese division, where fellow animated artists such as Ado and Shigeri Yui are currently signed to. At the time, I wondered what this would mean for her music going forward. Would she be the same quirky Grim Reaper that we know and love, or would she have to cater to a mainstream audience, dumbing down her lyrics and reinforcing stereotypes and meaningless lyrics about products and consumerism we gotten used to from the mainstream media? I'll be bringing this up later, you wait and see. My concerns were laid to rest though with her next EP, Shinigami Note, released on July 20, 2022, her 3rd EP and first with a major label, consisting of Capsule with Fuchimachi Suisei, Mena Mena, Camouflage, Make 'Em Afraid, Holy, and Let's End the World. I'll be honest here, the more I listened to it, the more I fell in love with it. Callie proved to herself with this EP that she was more than just a quirky rapper, as if the introspective tracks of UnAlive weren't proof enough. This reinforced her potential to be also a pop idol in her own fashion. I was obsessed with Mera Mera and listened to that endlessly when it released. Her chemistry with Suisei on Capsule is girl power defined. She also stands up for herself to haters with songs like Camouflage and Holy, the latter of which boasts a 2-style boom bap style instrumental and showing her rapper side in full force. Unlike her early work where she stuck to this deaf gimmick in much of her lyrics, here they're more straightforward this time around, and I do appreciate that she has broadened her horizons with this EP. I'm giving this an A tier. If there's any project I would recommend to anyone who is listening to Mori Calliope for the first time, Shinigami Note is the one I would show. Next we have Sinderella, released on December 16, 2022. This is also another album that has divided audiences, and it's not just her experimental sounds this time. It currently stands as one of her worst rated projects, and at first I didn't get why. Okay, there was already a group of people who just about despised her guts just for existing. There is this whole documentaries on why Mori Calliope is so divisive. I think it's because whenever someone comes along and pushes boundaries for others to join in on the fun, it is inevitable that one will think it's breaking a norm that they think is better off remaining the way it is. This time, I would argue Sinderella did not have the best first impression on me, partly due to its first single, I'm Greedy. Now that skeptical side of me I mentioned earlier, my concerns were raised back with this track. This is by far her most mainstream sounding track and features references to Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and drip. Listening to Mori Calliope say this made me cringe at first. I thought finally the labels caught up to her and are pulling a Black Eyed Peas on her, strip away what made her appeal to a core audience at first and make her a shallow form of her former self. As the album had its rollout, it became clear though that this was not the case. In fact, Mori had planned this to basically be a commentary on sin and negativity in general, effectively making songs that either have fun or comment on these types of sin, whether that be guilt, lust, wrath, or too much internet, which if the song title Internet Brain Rot didn't give it away, now you know. That song in particular is Cinderella's equivalent to Huge W, and not the W you think. I mean, that one also divided people as well, and I can see why. The sound and overall vibe of the song is not for everyone, and her girly voice in the chorus leaves a lot to be desired for many. I honestly grew to find it entertaining the more I listened to it. She showed that she can get petty if she wanted to, but she knows better than to give her aunties the time of day. She'll be damned if she graduates cause someone profits off telling everyone she's goofy. Why is she rapping? Cringecore is also another divisive track, but I argue that this continues the atmosphere that she laid out on Ichi Mekabuli, where she brought up that self-hatred was a major topic that she felt like writing about, and Cringecore further lays that down, but in a different fashion, where she pretty much mocks those who want her gone, and embraces being who she is. In fact, at the end of Huge W, she literally ends the song with the line, "Cringe is like my brand." Now you know calling her cringe won't give you that congratulation letter you wanted. I know I've spoken about the divisive part of the album a lot, but I felt like I had to put it out there because I feel like Mori is a very misunderstood artist, and given her core audience, I absolutely adore that she does what she does because her deadbeats eat her up, and she knows that very well, hence why she has continued to write. The positives of this album, well, songs like Wanted, Wasted, and Taste of Death continue to push the boundaries of what she could do musically. And shout out to Dance Past Midnight featuring Amelie. The two go together like bread and butter on this one. It's easily my favorite track on this album. And guys, this is a good time to tell you Amelie has her own album of original songs, Rise of the Monarch. It is super underrated. She and Mori also have another collab called Villain Vibes, so y'all should give it the time of day. Nezumi's Scheme continues the electro swing project she had going on with Den on Arrival, complete with a Nezumi Mori alter ego who also got her own stream, which was pretty fun to see. Death Sentence is an interesting one. It has that Laura Less vibe to it, probably because the producer for it was Umaru, who is an established producer in the hyperpop scene and a partner with PC Music. Sadly, we won't be seeing any HoloLive songs with him anytime soon after aunties convinced him Mori was a bad person, but what we did get added to Mori's ambitions to branch out more. Glass Slipper is a song I feel like should be talked about more often. It further expands on her introspective tracks like End of Life and Lusu's Days. One lyric that really stands out to me is, "I'd rather disown me than die old and lonely." This is why I love her. She speaks to people who have been broken mentally and have gone through a lot of things, but still hold out hope that one day they will be lifted back up. And on that note, Sinderella is a B tier. It's fun for what it is. Alright, next is Jigoku 6, her 4th EP, and at this point she has established herself as a versatile artist who could put out anything and the deadbeats would show up for it. Basically put her in the miscellaneous category. So for this project she has a focused genre this time around, and that's rock for the most part. Led by a promotional single made for One Piece, that alone shows you how far she has gone in the industry. She was able to land a partnership with one of the biggest anime franchises ever. I say that's a huge W if you ask me. Carousel of Imaginary Images featuring Rails showcases both at their finest, combining both their energy into a fierce girl power rock anthem that is quite frankly the result of all of the love we have given them over the years. Black Sheep and You're Not Special continues to show Mori at her best, with Left for Dead Lullaby being her best track overall on this EP in my opinion. It's always tracks like this that really get to me, cause let's face it, VTubers still face a lot of stereotypes that anime in general tend to face, that cause they're animated they shouldn't be taken as seriously as quote unquote real life artists. What is to be realized though is that there is an actual person behind those personas. Look no further than Gorillaz or Daft Punk, who hide behind personas but have maintained a cult following through their music regardless. And that's the power of such a platform, that one can inspire in such different fashions, and it's beautiful. Mori Calliope and other VTubers for that matter fit on this line of persona and inspiration, albeit on a more interactive scale as they stream and play games with their fans, creating a more personal idol-fan relationship. On that note, Jigoku 6 is a solid A tier, definitely one of her better projects. At last, we arrive at her recent album Phantomime, released on August 16, 2024. This one features a versatility similar to her other two albums, UnAlive and Sinderella, in that they showcase Mori at her most fierce and her most vulnerable at the same time, respectively with tracks like Overkill, Cult Following, and Don't Mind, where she's just about fed up with the nonsense and doesn't play around. And then the back end of the album features the songs Skeletons, Last Days, and Through the Blue. It should be known by now she's not a one-trick pony, and the way this album is structured further reinforces that. Last Days in particular hit the most hard. It continues what was laid down on tracks like Cursed Night, End of Life, and Glass Slipper, tracks that make you think about life and existence and what's there for you by your side and deep stuff like that. My favorite track on here though would have to be Midnight Mayoi with her son Kobukanaru. It's just so wholesome and charming to see dad spend some quality time with her son. Their chemistry honestly brings tears to my eyes the more I listen to it, and I just know I want that for myself one day. Phantomime also took one of her most criticized singles, Sneaking, adding Persona 3 producer Lotus Juice into the mix and turning it from a trap anthem for Metal Gear Solid to a rock anthem for Metal Gear Solid. Both versions work in their own way in my opinion. Speaking of collaborations, Suicide Squad called her up, fulfilling her dream of making a song for an anime, that being Go Getters, which she was so proud of because she made a bunch of promo and dance challenges to it too. God, I love seeing Mori and Harley Quinn together, two of my favorite baddies in a music video. Oh, I almost forgot, like with Rayol on Carousel and Jigoku 6, Callie shares a similar chemistry with singer Ai on the song Tide. No, she didn't use AI, and Kizuna Ai is not back either, sadly. She's a real person. If you didn't know, Ai is a common name in the Japanese world. Anyway, Phantomime is an A-tier project for sure. That concludes her albums and EPs thus far. Now let's look at the singles that didn't make it onto the albums and EPs themselves. Starting with Cursed Night, a really deep look into Mori's mental state and is a reminder that mental health should always be taken seriously. I think coming out with a song like this so early into her career gives it away she wasn't just a gimmick. She was looking to write for herself, and the deadbeats who know what she's been through because they may have felt or gone through something similar to what she has, and I think that's special. We can connect with each other in that regard. Cursed Night gets an A tier from me. Off With Her Head stands as one of her most fierce and don't give an F songs, and for good reasons. This shows Mori at one of her final forms, ready to strike when the iron's hot, and even defending being a quote-unquote Miss Company hire, because it's not like you can get in without having some sort of skill first. And wow, does she prove that with not just this song, but in every project that has come out since then. Is an S tier. Eva Show, which was made for the Princess Connect Redive game, sadly shut down by corporate corporation decisions, is a beautiful song that should have been 2 minutes longer because I could listen to this for hours. She makes one of her most wholesome songs and a lovely tune on top of her vocals, and I've returned to it countless times. Eva Show is an A tier for me. End of Life, come on, that's S tier. Where else did you think it was gonna go? This song by this point needs no introduction. Every hardcore deadbeat will know this song and recognize it as being amongst Mori's best work. This is again one of those introspective tracks that spoke to me and my girlfriend, and we can clearly see that she cares about people like us. Dawn Blue, which was made for HoloLive Alternative, is a song that doesn't get brought up that much, and while I don't have a lot to say about it, it is a solid track from Callie as usual and deserves props where it's due. I'm giving this a B tier. Sneaking, or at least the original version of it, before it was remixed on Phantomime, is, like I briefly mentioned, one of her most criticized songs by far. I mean, on Rate Your Music, it's lower than Yummy by Justin Bieber. Don't make me laugh, you can tell that site is overrun with antis. All she's doing on this track is geeking out and having fun with this partnership she got going on with Metal Gear Solid, and I have nothing but respect for that. The chorus, I can't help it, it's an earworm for sure. This is a B tier. Flashbang, which is the most recent song at the time of recording this video, I've listened to it twice by now, and I think it's yet another solid record for her. I'm giving this a B tier. No, actually A tier, because she dropped the ada ada on us. Please rock me to sleep and sing lullabies to me, mommy! That's all her non-album singles thus far, with her as the lead artist, and now let's look at her collaborations. Spiral Tones featuring Rika from Hollow Stars is another song that doesn't get much talk, and a pretty underrated track if you ask me. While not amongst her best, I do appreciate she collabs with Hollow Stars members, as we barely see that in HoloLive music. DJ Sanji does this gender crossover all the time. I like to see HoloLive do this more often. This gets a B tier. Reaper vs. Sheep with Tsunomaki Watame is also a fun look at the talents between the two. Watame comes through with her own on this one, and I appreciate that. You can tell the two are besties off screen from this song alone. There are two versions of this song, both of them are equally good, so this will be a B tier. It's good for what it is. Fire and Ice with Takanashi Kiara, this didn't end up on Phantomime as this is copyrighted to cover and not Universal, but it would have been nice to see this on the album. The Takamori shipping that was relevant in the early days of HoloMyth comes through with a K-pop/J-pop style song that Kiara very much dabbles with full force on her own discography. Maybe I should cover her someday. Anyway, this gets an A tier, solid banger. Yona Yona Journey. Now this one is also underrated. I've noticed a pattern here. Her collaborations that aren't with the HoloLyve girls always wind up underrated, and I wish it was the other way around. This I don't have much to say on, but I won't bat an eye with this one. This one is a B tier as well. If you're a deadbeat looking for even more Callie after going through her major projects, this is amongst the features she has done you should check out. Wicked, which is a Sweet Say song featuring Callie, is another solid track. I feel like these two should have an album together. Their chemistry is just so girl boss. Solid A tier for this one. Kira Killer, which is a Zutomayo song featuring Callie, is also a decent track. While I don't listen to Zutomayo myself, let me know if I should, cause I do think the dynamic between the two serves well for what the track goes for, and gets a B tier for me. Ketatama with Keremi is a fun banger. I do think it deserves props where it's due. This one gets a B tier as well. Revival with Phantomime once again, this one deserves more attention for sure. This will also get a B tier. Same goes for the song Doten Hisuchi, which that makes it 3 times that Watame and Mori have collaborated together. If they do this a 4th time, we could put them together and call it an unofficial collab EP. B tier for that one as well. Villain Vibes with Amelie, as I mentioned before, is also a solid banger and full of girl power girl boss vibes. That one is a solid A tier. Crown from the now separated Boogie Vox is also another solid track for those who like grave shit from the UnAlive project and gets a B tier from me. Tokyo Friday Night with Joint Beauty and anime voice actress Kana Hanazawa, who voices Kanade Tachibana from Angel Beats, who is where I got my name from by the way, is also a solid track. This is definitely one of those road trip tracks that you could put on. I love these types of instrumentals and will get an A tier from me. Now that's all the collabs with her as the feature or co-lead. I'm going to include the HoloMyth tracks with all 5 members cause why not? Mori is part of them after all, and it's only fair we include those contributions as well. Journey Like 1,000 Years I feel like is pretty forgettable for me unfortunately. There are so many songs like this that have done this sound. Just go find a Love Life soundtrack and you'll find this sort of song done in a catchier way. That said, this was their first official song together, so I can't be too hard on them. I do commend that Mori wrote the lyrics and helped out on the MV for this. This gets a C tier. Nonfiction was the follow-up to that track, and I think I like the concept of this better. The irony of the track being called Nonfiction when the group itself is called Myth is enough to make you think of what they're going for, that they're more than just fairy tales, they are souls aiming for something they grind for, and don't we all? This gets a B tier for me. Connect the World is definitely my favorite amongst these HoloMyth tracks. This one also featuring Holo Console as well. I think it fits as the English equivalent to Shiny's Smiley Story, if we're being honest here. This gets an A tier. Reunion has some cute funny moments in there, especially with Gura and Callie, and serves as another decent collaboration track between our girls. This gets a B tier. Breaking Dimensions, which is the theme song to their second official concert in New York that I was unable to get tickets for, is also a solid track as well, with a B tier. Start Again, a 4-way collab between Mori, Iris, Narissa, and Elizabeth, just makes me want to see the 4 actually become a group. They are a powerhouse of big sisterly types who really would benefit continuing this going forward. Their chemistry is off the walls, and did I mention Liz doesn't hold back with her vocals? The girl should be doing Broadway. This gets an A tier for me, solid banger. And finally, after a long time of putting together this tier list, we come to our final track, The Show Goes On, the final HoloMyth track to feature Amelia before her semi-graduation on September 2024. This was bittersweet to listen to. Knowing that this would be the final time we see the HoloMyth girls at full operation made me misty-eyed. It is also a decent B tier banger for what it is, and I will always love them, even after they all graduate one day. Wait just a minute, there is one more project that I forgot to mention in here, and that was the April Fool's EP from Mori Calliope's male counterpart Calvin, also known as Seaman. Yeah, this EP came out of nowhere in April Fool's, and it was just so funny to listen to, at least for the first few tracks anyway, then it gets old. But this was a fun listen regardless, and it gets a C tier. We come to the close of this exhausting but absolutely fun to do tier list. I dedicate this tier list to our dear Grim Reaper dad, who has worked endlessly to gift us deadbeats with her talent, potential, and likability that has got her this far. It's crazy to think she has been here for over 4 years, and I've been watching her for more than half of that. It feels just like yesterday when there was only 2 EPs and a handful of loosies to listen to. Now with a bunch of partnerships, a major record deal, and her own live concert on her resume, Mori Calliope doesn't look like she's stopping anytime soon. She is fiercely dedicated to what she does, and I'm all for it. So with that said, man, I love my dad. What do you think of this tier list? Would you grade any of these songs differently? And let me know if there's anything I may have missed. For those watching this a couple months from now, I'm aware there will be new songs and projects, so let it be known this covers only up to November 2024. Anyway, thank you deadbeats for watching this video. Please support my Patreon and my Ko-fi and follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my channel, I upload weekly, and join my Discord server to be part of the movement. Special thanks to Jason N for supporting the Patreon. If you'd like to get a shout out at the end of my videos, please support the Patreon. This is your Sunshine Yui Tachibana, signing out.